such an important school on the island, which is the Martin Luther King School in Dutch Quarter, is being repaired, and that the minister doesn't go there and doesn't have any update on what's happening. So I would like to ask the members of parliament to look at the screen.
1 second, Minister, just to confirm, I know this is not part of the agenda point, that there's no objection if the Minister can briefly show these images. Yeah? Minister, go ahead.
Thank you. So if you look at the screen, you will see the roof at the Martin Luther King School, which I have indicated that it is progressing well. And you would see that the Minister of Education, Culture and Sports was present when they were paving part of the roof, pouring part of the roof. Here you can see from a different angle that the roof is being poured. Important maybe to mention, what you cannot see from the picture, is that the concrete that is going on the roof is deemed lightweight. So it is not the regular heavy concrete, but it's a lightweight concrete that is being used on the roof. Mr. Chairman, the topic of higher education on St. Martin, the topic of the ordinance that will provide a legal basis for higher education on St. Martin, is one that is very long waited for. I can maybe even add overdue. However, I am pleased this afternoon to be able to begin the presentation of the draft ordinance in order to complete the legislation that would provide the legal basis for higher education on St. Martin. On May 24, 2017, the Council of Ministers approved de startnotitie Landsverordening Hoger Onderwijs, Cultuur, Jeugd en Sport. In the process to determine the policy for higher education discussions were had with stakeholders. The conclusions of the discussions with the stakeholders was that there are different solutions to providing higher education on St. Martin. The context of higher education is complex, and there is no right or wrong way to present it. All stakeholders, however, pointed out several core dilemmas for higher education related to the social, economic, and education system of St. Martin. The scale of St. Martin was mentioned by all as the biggest challenge. As included among the dilemmas was the complexity of the subject in relation to global trends in higher education, the quality of education, and the global economic situation. All stakeholders share the idea of the overall goal: to strengthen higher education and create more opportunities for the people of St. Martin to achieve a higher level of education without leaving the island. Based on the research, the Council of Ministers took the following policy decision on higher education. One is to tie the economic growth agenda and the needs of the labor market directly to the education agenda of higher education, which is tertiary education planning. To accept the realities for the level of ambition when focusing on the role of education. These are the scale of the island, the limited availability of tertiary education at USM, together with the limited financial resources. Aim to grow steadily. Attract more foreign students, and this is given the size of the student population on St. Martin. Foreign students must be attracted to be financially sustainable and fill programs at higher levels of education. Also, be willing to invest and pay the core costs for higher education until a maximum percentage. Thus keeping the tuition fees relatively low. Otherwise, the financial burden will be shifted to the study finance system. And organize quality assurance through specialized agencies/organizations to minimize international quality assurance. to maximize international quality assurance. It saves manpower and investment in building capacity that are otherwise needed in the educational system. The reason for the draft national ordinance is the lack of legislation regulating higher education. There is no question of a higher education system. Higher education in St. Martin is currently provided on the basis of agreements, contracts, or letters of intent with individual institutions and/or specific study programs. As a result, there is insufficient control over the development of higher education policy and its coherence with other policy areas within education.
Mealtime rules. Don't serve yourself first. Do not eat with your mouth open. Don't rest your elbows on the table. Don't make noise when eating. Does not apply when enjoying KFC buckets. When we bucket together, we are as we really are.
Social and health insurance is your social and health insurances.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
During the hurricane season, a potential tropical cyclone can produce rainfall that can cause flash flooding and rockfalls. Stay away from flood-prone areas during heavy rainfall, such as Jump Up Casino on Emma Plain Road in Phillipsburg, ATLH Road Roundabout, L.B. Scott Road from Emilio Wilson Park until Cake House Supermarket, Zaker's Gut from Petro Plus gas station until the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Welcalaken Road K Hill from Welcalaken Road Roundabout until the One-Tete Loke Roundabout, Beacon Hill Road from Sunset Bar and Grill until the beginning of White Sands Road, and Rhine Road, also known as Mullet Bay Road, after Sonesto Maho Beach Hotel to the entrance of Cooper Coy from the intersection of the University Drive until the intersection of Rio Grande. For more information on how you can keep yourself and your family safe this hurricane season, visit stmartingolf.org/hurricane. This public service announcement is brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
Over the years, it was estimated that 69 million guilders, due to the various lockdowns and opening hours, actually had to go towards the payroll support for the many people that work within this industry. I think that's a good figure. Unfortunately, one of the things that I discovered in this exercise is that as a country, we really have very poor job statistics in terms of how much people earn, in terms of the categories in which they earned. So when I posed questions to the Ministry of VSA to get that information and the Department of Statistics, the labor survey was underway at the time. That was something that they were trying to add. What is the, let's say, how much does the average person earn within a particular industry? So that information was not available. So I just used the SSRP as a guideline. Many jobs go to locals. Most positions in the food and beverage industry do not appear in the top 10 most requested work permits. As you may recall, there was a presentation in October of 2021 where we were given a list of all the work permits that are given within the industry, within various industries, and the food and beverage industry is not listed high in that presentation. The reopening of nightlife sparked tourism. The industry contributed to the economy performing better than expected according to the CBCS estimates. I think that the resiliency of it after the hurricane as well as after COVID-19 helped to drive reasons for people to travel to St. Martin, especially considering that many other destinations they would not have been able to enjoy. And the tips increased the spending powers of workers, as I stated earlier. In terms of the orange economy, we know that DJs, live bands, local artists also experience improved career prospects, thriving under the growth of the industry since 2005. There's many opportunities, especially with the popularity of DJs being able to perform at various establishments, but also live bands. You see some examples of some of the earlier ones, like DJ Polly at Sherry's Cafe, Control Band that has been at various restaurants and so on. But then you also see that restaurants are trying to integrate entertainment into their offering in order to be able to compete. You look here, you see different examples of where really just traditional restaurants, in trying to be able to remain competitive in order to be able to attract people to their doors, they have started to incorporate at least, let's say, a night where there's a live person with saxophone or a live band or a DJ, because that is, I guess, the way that the industry is evolving. And 14 of the top 20 TripAdvisor restaurants offer musical entertainment. It is also a spotlight for the orange economy, I believe. A lot of our people are local artists that are able to then branch off and become very big. You look at, let's say, maybe you see them on a local poster here in a nightclub, and then you see them performing internationally after. A very good example of that is BB Bad, Bianca Daykoff, who started off as a dancer, transitioned into DJing, and now she's actually the official DJ of Karol G, one of the largest artists. But was it not for her ability to perform locally and have that sort of outlet? I think it was good that she got that experience locally and now has branched off internationally. We also have, for example, Ajay Ratwani, who started off playing locally as a DJ and has then been headlining like SXM Festival and other large international events.
MP for coming in and bringing this presentation. We all know MP since the video surfaced of you in front of a restaurant, or nightclub, or maybe restaurant, maybe I don't know what it was, because it was there as a restaurant. So knowing that you had a video that surfaced that also had to do with inspectors being accused of bribery, I really appreciate the fact that you're presenting this, as well as the fact that you are having dialogue with the Minister of TEAT or Ministry of TEAT, and not actually telling them what to do, telling them how to execute their job. So I'm really, really kudos to you for bringing this in. I'm very confused, though, why you lump noise pollution in with opening times. And the first time that this came on the schedule of Parliament, I was a little bit, shocked in my preparation when I reached out to stakeholders that are not restaurant owners and not nightlife owners, that they had not been approached to discuss this topic. And, you bring up from the beginning that there's a tourism aspect related to this. And one of the things that I've always said is whether or not we want to be Cancun, whether we 24/7, whether or not we want to be, spring break central 24/7. And that's what we need to think about. I too, like the MP who spoke before me, loved going out at night, especially during the holidays coming home. So I have nothing to do with it, but there's always one business that I always acknowledge that had actually hardly been a nuisance to anyone around, and that has been Lotus Nightclub in its current location. And moving on from that, I really think that perhaps this would be better accepted and maybe even appreciated if you didn't lump in noise pollution with opening times of businesses. Because when we go, if I look at it starting out from the presentation, with the facts that I was given, or that we were given, regarding the number of businesses that this touches on, and then the estimated number of people that are employed by it, I was, for lack of a better word, I thought it was misleading. Because when you talk about 789 businesses in the sector, I think you were referring maybe to food and beverage sector. But the thing is that anybody that wants to serve alcohol comes under that topic. So 789 kind of looks like you're saying that there's 789 nightlife businesses, and I don't think that's clear when you present it in a sort of 789 is in the overview, the way it was presented. For instance, an ice cream parlor that wants to serve alcohol would come under your 789. So that's what I mean by misleading. So the way that we talk about it usually when we're presenting data is you're comparing apples and oranges. So I want to make sure that that is not the case. When we talk about 9,468 employees by that sector, we need to specify that it's not nightlife sector, because let's say, for instance, I want to make sure that when people hear that nightlife supports and carries this economy, that they're not misled by saying a statement like that, because I don't think nightlife is supporting 9,468 employees. And that's what so if it's F&B, and I know you say F&B, but let's just be very, very clear on at what times F&B functions and who this will be, because this is something that, let me look at just what's open at night, okay? You have casinos. We maybe have somewhere ongeveer 13 casinos. You looking at whorehouses / strip joints. Let's just be real. It's a public secret here of the way that things exist on St. Martin. And we have maybe maximum about 10 of them. And then if you look at a 24-hour establishment, we can think of two, one in the area of Village Road, one in the area of Welfare Road. So when you think about the businesses that are really open, like throughout the night, there's not that many. Like I would say that there's probably maximum 30. And I just wanted to really distinguish that, because this, I look at the presentation, it's for me, it really is requiring more information, not just from a tourism perspective, not just from how it's going to keep people employed, but I really want you to differentiate between the breakdown of F&B, because like I said, F&B also includes a coffee house that's on Front Street that closes at about 6 p.m. and also serves alcohol. So do it in a way that it's presenting the information for the businesses that operate, that are nocturnal in nature, the ones operating at night and pose a nuisance potentially with noise pollution. Now, the reason that my suggestion to you is to take out the noise pollution aspect of it from this is because when you talk about people shouldn't have a permit for music. And it made me think that, listen, I don't have a permit for when I want to play music in my house or in my car. But that actually also causes a nuisance to the public. People complain about hearing the cars that are blasting music, actually install speakers. People complain about a neighbor that is constantly playing loud music through all hours of the night. And you have to think of it that way, as in it's not just a noise pollution that is linked to businesses, which is why my suggestion is to remove it from businesses and what they're allowed, because a business that wants to play music needs to decide whether or not, if they're going to play music like a nightclub, blasting it with having people on their roof dancing, or external, as in going over the water, carrying over the water, or maybe even from a boat, music coming from a boat. Those are nuisances, and they need to be clearly defined, that it's not limited to a business. It's also including cars. It's also including residential persons in their house or apartment, annoying the crap out of neighbors and businesses in the area.
Social and health insurances. Your social and health insurances.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
With you, the new Kentako. a combination that will surprise the most curious palates. Combining the deliciousness of KFC chicken and the practicality of a taco with a doubly delicious ergonomic shape. Wow! Compatible with all types of bites. New Kintaco. Enjoy a double-breaded chicken breast with our secret recipe. Cheese, lettuce, and tomato. New Kintaco, the innovation that's in everyone's mouth.
It's hurricane season. Are you prepared? Here are a few tips to keep in mind to help keep you and your family safe. The Atlantic hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th, with the peak occurring between mid-August and late October. This hurricane season, be sure to put together a go bag. A disaster supply kit including a flashlight, batteries, cash, first aid and supplies, medications, and copies of your critical information if you need to evacuate. This public service announcement was brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
During our pre-budget consultations, a number of participants recommended increases in the tax on alcohol and tobacco to assist government in maintaining the health system. Therefore, government will increase the current excise tax rates on alcohol and on tobacco by 25 cents per litre and per kilogram, respectively. This increase will take effect on September 1, 2023. As already mentioned, government is also implementing several measures to reduce the operating costs of the public service, including bulk procurement for commonly used items and a reduction in the use of paper. Cabinet has decided to go green by November 1, 2023. That is, there will be no more paper submissions to Cabinet. All submissions will be made electronically through a secured system. In addition, we will bring to Parliament the necessary amendment to repeal the return filing requirements in the Income Tax Act, Chapter 6701 of the 2017 Revised Laws of Dominica, for individuals whose only source of income is from employment. This measure will be implemented in phases to allow sufficient preparation time for the private sector. The first phase will apply to government employees with effect from income year 2024. Mr. Speaker, this means that a government employee who receives only income from the government will not be required to file an income tax return for income year 2024, which would have been due by March 31, 2025. The Inland Revenue will put the necessary administrative arrangements in place to ensure that qualifying employees continue to benefit the tax deductions prescribed by the Income Tax Act. Mr. Speaker, presently the fee to obtain a birth certificate and a marriage certificate is $5, while the cost of the paper for each certificate plus the cost of printing is in excess of $30. With effect from August 1, 2023, the cost of birth, marriage, and death certificates will be $20. Mr. Speaker, the current tax policy on petroleum products has been in place for approximately 20 years, but for the change in name of the taxes when we introduced the excise tax in March 2026. Prior to the introduction of the excise tax, the consumption tax plus the sales tax on gasoline amounted to the same $3, excess tax per gallon of gasoline that we pay today, and $2.38 per gallon of diesel, which we currently pay. Additionally, in July 2008, government removed the 45 cents excise tax and the customs service charge on liquefied petroleum. Mr. Speaker, we are of the view that the time has come for a review of the tax regime on petroleum products. Therefore, government will appoint a task force to review the current rates and system of taxation as well as provide recommendations for the implementation of a modern tax regime that is equitable and fair.
It was a night of pointed attacks in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a critical swing state, in a fiery debate hosted by the Fox News Channel as the 2024 presidential race heats up.
Now is not the time for on-the-job training. We don't need to bring in a rookie. We don't need to bring in people without experience.
The real choice we face in this primary is this. Do you want a super PAC puppet, or do you want a patriot who speaks the truth?
As the 8 Republican presidential candidates who made the cut took the debate stage for the first time.
I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here.
This is exactly why Margaret Thatcher said, if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman.
The candidates sparring over hot-button issues like climate change.
The climate change agenda is a hoax. The climate change agenda is a hoax.
First of all, yes, is climate change real? Yes, it is. But if you want to go and really change the environment, then we need to start telling China and India that they have to lower their emissions. That's where our problem is.
And abortion.
We must have a president of the United States who will advocate and fight for, at the minimum, a 15-week limit. I am 100% pro-life conservative.
Let's treat this like a respectful issue that it is and humanize the situation and stop demonizing the situation.
North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum saying he would not support a federal abortion ban.
And the reason why we shouldn't is very simple. It's the 10th Amendment in the Constitution. In the Constitution, which the states created the federal government, not the other way around.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis attacking the current president.
We need to send Joe Biden back to his basement and reverse American decline. And it starts with understanding we must reverse Bidenomics so that middle-class families have a chance to succeed again.
And 38-year-old biotech entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy earning the spotlight at center stage based on polling.
My parents came to this country with no money 40 years ago. I have gone on to found multi-billion-dollar companies. I did it while marrying my wife, Apurva, raising our 2 sons, following our faith in God. That is the American dream.
South Carolina Senator Tim Scott also saying he, too, represents the American dream.
I came to the conclusion that America can do for anyone what she's done for me if we focus on restoring hope, creating opportunities, and protecting America.
But one of the most theatrical moments was addressing the candidate who wasn't even there, former President Donald Trump.
We are going to take a brief moment and talk about the elephant not in the room. You all signed a pledge to support the eventual Republican nominee. If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice? Please raise your hand if you would.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who once prepped Trump for debates, now pitching himself as the candidate most willing to take on the former president, who's mired in legal troubles.
Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct, okay? Now whether or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong, the conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States.
Former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson agreeing.
And over a year ago, I said that Donald Trump was morally disqualified from being president again as a result of what happened on January 6th.
Veteran politician, former governor, and former UN ambassador in the Trump administration, Nikki Haley, going on the attack against her former boss.
Trump is the most disliked politician in America. We can't win a general election that way.
On stage, a candidate who was once one of Trump's greatest allies, also separating himself, his former vice president, Mike Pence.
The American people deserve to know that the president asked me in his request that I reject or return votes unilaterally, power that no vice president in American history had ever exercised or taken. He asked me to put him over the Constitution. And I chose the Constitution, and I always will.